Now, once he got on, did he ever reach back to you?
Yeah, Jay had me come and do Summer Jam with him one year. I think that was the time when he had that.
Me and Pac went in the studio and did a song together. And then them little dudes.
Outlaws.
Yeah.
Outlaws.
They came, like, as soon as we got there, they came up to Pac talking about, yo, Lauryn Hill dissed you, Mobb Deep dissed you.
It is true. Tupac, he really had an issue with Jay-Z. He really didn't like him there.
Not at all. I think that if Pac was alive, it would have been a whole different story. And as much money as Jay-Z has, he still hasn't accomplished what Tupac accomplished before he was at 25 years old.
Big Daddy Kane just made a statement about Jay-Z and Tupac that caught everyone off guard. Let's just say the version of history we've been fed. It's missing some big pieces. C. Kane didn't just know Jay-Z, he helped launch him. That's not up for debate. Jay was freestyling on Kane's stage, opening his shows, rocking mics in his cypher. But as Jay rose to the top, Kane's name slowly faded from the story. And here's where things get real. Kane's recent comments? They don't just touch Jay, they echo all the way back to Tupac, because while Kane was opening doors on the East Coast, Pac was on the West, firing shots at the industry, exposing fake players, and yes, taking aim at J-Z. So now the question is, what is Kane really saying? Did Jay just draw inspiration from legends like Kane and Pac, or did he step right over them to build his empire and never look back? Let's get into it.
Hold up. Tupac is a lyricist. See what I'm saying? It's just that he's not one of those lyrical MCs that spit stuff, but his stuff is, he spit deep lyrics that touch your soul.
Back in the early 90s, when Jay-Z was just another hungry MC, Big Daddy Kane brought him on tour during his Chocolate City run. Kane gave Jay the mic while he changed outfits backstage, letting him tear it down with live freestyles, but it didn't stop there. Kane also recorded tracks with Jay and helped push his demo to major labels. Still, as Kane admits nobody wanted him, the labels passed, they just weren't feeling Jay's style.
Jay-Z, I heard that no one really wanted to sign him when you was shopping him around the record labels. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This was, I want to say, I don't know, 90, 91 maybe. We was, Jay, we recorded some songs, probably about 4 or 5 songs on Jay-Z, and shopped them to several different record labels, and they all passed.
Even after the rejection, Kane kept believing Jay would grow into something big, and he was right. But here's where things start to feel off. Kane's early influence on Jay's fast, smooth, aggressive flow is crystal clear. But when Jay reached the top, that origin story got blurred out and decoded. Jay mentions learning stage control from Kane, but that's all. No deep credit, no consistent homage, just one short mention. And Kane noticed that silence. Then came that infamous bar from Dude It Again. I've seen the same ish happen to Kane. 3 cuts in your eyebrows trying to wild out. Now if you know Kane made those 3 eyebrow slits iconic in the 80s and 90s. It was his signature, so when Jay dropped that line, it didn't sound like a salute, it sounded like a slick jab. Even Angie Martinez suggested on air, it was a diss. Rumors spread. Kane publicly downplayed it, but fans weren't convinced. Jay himself once said he studied Kane backstage, watched how he moved, how he rocked the crowd. But when Jay stepped into his gangster hustler era, Kane stepped back to let him build his own lane. Now all these years later, Kane seems to ask himself, did Jay push him out of the picture on purpose?
I remember actually having a record deal through a production deal with someone else and recording, and then the next thing you know, someone else on the label blew up.
But here's the thing, Kane wasn't the only one stepping back. At the same time, Tupac was stepping forward, already calling out the exact industry games Kane hints at now. Pac saw the shift clearly from artists with real substance and style to a new wave chasing image, cash, and power. One name popping up in those conversations, Jay-Z back then. Rumors swirled that Jay felt threatened by Tupac. Deep down, Jay knew he couldn't match Pac's charisma. No matter how sharp Jay's wordplay was, Pac had that raw presence, that untouchable it factor most rappers just can't teach. And things eventually blew up. Jay and Pac had real beef right before Pac's death. It all started when Jay teamed up with Biggie to throw shots at the West Coast. Jay and Big, both from Bed-Stuy, were tight in the early 90s. In 96, they dropped Brooklyn's Finest on Jay's Reasonable Doubt, one of the standout tracks, but that collab lit the fuse. Irv Gotti, who worked closely with Jay then, later said he warned him not to feature Biggie on that track. The East Coast-West Coast beef was already wild, and Irv feared adding fuel could backfire fast.
You gotta go back to Brooklyn's finest. I was dead set against it. I was telling Jay, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And he was like, why? And I was just like, he's too strong. I said, but before we take over the world, we got to take over the West Coast. Before we take over the West Coast, we got to take over the East Coast. Before we take over the East Coast, we got to take over New York. Before we take over New York, you got to take over Brooklyn. And he owns all that. And I was like, this is not a whack. So I was just like, I was in fear that I was like, yo, you may come off like this little man. You understand?
Now, Pac and Biggie started out cool. But everything turned dark in '94 when Pac was shot 5 times during a robbery at Quad Studios. Pac believed Biggie and Diddy knew something about the setup but never warned him. That betrayal stayed with him. Biggie always denied knowing anything.
Yeah, I think Pac was more upset that that word was getting back to him, that the people that did do this to him was affiliated one way or another with Biggie, and whether they was extorting him or word got back that they was going to do this to Pac. So this is one of the reasons that Pac was upset.
After the Quad Studios shooting, Pac and Biggie began publicly trading shots. Shortly before Jay dropped Brooklyn's Finest, Biggie released Who Shot You? By then, the East Coast-West Coast feud was at a boiling point. That's why Irv Gotti urged Jay to hold off on releasing the collab with Biggie. Jay didn't listen and dropped it anyway. That only escalated tensions. Bigie's verse threw direct shots at Pac, calling him his son and referencing rumors about Pac and Faith Evans.
And then what Big did, which I was like, that's why Pac was on Jay, because of Brooklyn's Finest. If they have twins, you probably have 2 Pacs. Get it? 2 Pacs. And Jay's on the record with him. So now he's like, you ain't no like me, Jay-Z. Then he start bombing on.
After that, Pac fired back at Jay-Z on tracks like Bomb First, My Second Reply, and F-Friend. Fans were waiting for Jay to respond with a full diss track, but he never got the chance. Just weeks later, Pac was fatally shot in a Las Vegas drive-by. The twist: Jay actually wrote a response track called Scathing, a brutal diss aimed at Pac. He never officially released it, purportedly to avoid fanning the flames while Pac was alive. Few know Jay performed Scathing live at the Apollo after Pac's death, according to DJ Clark Kent. The track was wildly disrespectful. Jay only performed it because he had a chip on his shoulder, finally letting it all out.
And it's funny because before he performed the record, he was like, yo, no disrespect to the dead, but you just can't say whatever to me.
Oh, so he actually performed it after Pac passed.
Yeah, we was at the Apollo. It was, I will say this, if you can find anybody who was at that show and the Apollo was packed, they will tell you that it was absolutely crazy, the things he was saying. I was like, Lord Jesus. Like when you know when you hear something, it's one thing, but then when you hear it performed, it's like, jeez. It was super tough.
But why perform a diss after Pac was gone? Rumors say Jay actually felt relieved when Pac died. He'd always been intimidated by the legend and thought he could never outshine him. In fact, Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, revealed Jay was so scared of Pac that once, while in Las Vegas, he refused to leave his hotel room for a show just because Pac and his crew were in town.
The story is that Jay was going to try to perform in Vegas, but Pac was in Vegas, and him and his dudes now. And they wasn't going to let Jay-Z come out the hotel. They found out where Jay was at. And Jay wasn't going to come out the hotel. He was going to miss that performance or whatever like that. Do that concert, and Jay was scared no more. Jay wasn't coming out that hotel until he got clearance.
Many fans have called Jay-Z sneaky for never openly dissing Tupac while he was alive. But the truth is, Jay and his East Coast crew were constantly sending subliminal shots, trying to provoke Pac because they knew he'd react emotionally. From that era, say Jay was genuinely jealous of Pac's natural charisma. No matter how sharp Jay's lyrics were, he knew he couldn't match Pac's magnetic presence. Even Nas hinted at this bitterness in an interview, revealing that Jay told him he was a better rapper than both Nas and Biggie. Nas said to Vibe, "We were just hanging out and he told me he was better than Biggie." Nas looked at him like he'd lost it. Then Jay got even bolder, claiming Tupac and DMX weren't true lyricists. Nas disagreed, insisting Tupac was simply the greatest, period. But that's not the only reason fans have labeled Jay-Z a snake. Jay stayed close to Diddy, even after rumors tied Diddy to Tupac's murder. In fact, after both Pac and Biggie passed, Diddy publicly praised Jay as the one who stepped up and filled their shoes.
Bro, you filled them shoes though. you feel you came in and you know what I'm saying. So we definitely give thanks for you. You know what I'm saying? Because you definitely, you know, came in. And I just know how much Big, like really looked up to Jay. You know what I'm saying? They looked up to each other. And yeah, that is crazy to have to step into the shoes of like two people, because that's all it was really, was those two people. And they had like the game, they had things on lock. Hove was coming, you know what I'm saying? But like, you know, it was like these two cats was just so big, you know what I'm saying? And then so it's like to have all of that, like, you know, come on you and have that responsibility to keep this shit fly and keep the art of it going.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think Hov really kept the, you know, not, you know, Hov kept the art of it going and was able to take where they was at and take it, you know what I'm saying, take it even higher.
Despite all the swirling rumors around Diddy over the years, Jay kept his alliance with him right up until the 2023 Cassie lawsuit blew everything wide open. Now suddenly, Jay's acting like he has amnesia, claiming he and Diddy were never even friends. So what's the real takeaway? Big Daddy Kane, hinting at betrayal and disappointment? Tupac's warnings, Jay-Z's shady moves behind the scenes. It all paints a picture of a man who didn't just borrow flows but strategically stepped over mentors and rivals to build his empire. And as talented as Jay is, many industry insiders are now openly discussing how his legacy is soaked in betrayal and cold calculation. But I want to hear from you. Was Jay-Z just playing the game, or did he cross a line? Did he betray Kane after blowing up, turning his back on those who helped him? And how do you feel about Jay's jealousy toward Tupac? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.